Mint is a fast-growing mad tech company based out of Milan, Italy, with a global vision. It imagines a world in which AI and automation can come together to empower human thinking. Its innovative ARM technology helps to improve governance, efficiency, and transparency in advertising. This technology allows clients to oversee and manage and centralize the entire media buying process. We'll be speaking with the company's CEO, Andrea Pezzi, who will tell us about the early years of the business and how the company has created a technology that supports advertising companies all across the world. My name is Catherine Bennett. Welcome to A Moment With.
Catherine, benvenuta.
Grazie. So one of the first things I wanted to ask you is, you've been a radio DJ, you've been a TV presenter. How did you get from that to being an entrepreneur?
Curiosity, I think,
Okay.
is I started being a presenter. Once I had enough of that kind of life, I wanted to step into a new one. I wanted to change and to see if I was capable of building something different, right? Because I became quite successful when I was young, I wasn't sure that was actually the real life.
Okay.
And I wanted to see, maybe it went so fast that I need to do it again.
And there's a link there, of course, as well, between, working in media, camera facing,
Yeah.
and then also moving to more marketing, advertising, media buying. This is...
Definitely yes, because then you cannot get rid of all the experience. You need to build on whatever you know what to do. But also, if you look from up in the sky, you look at this era, the title is The Relationship Between Man and Machine. I think this is the place to be for people of our era, at least in the Western part of the world.
Right, well, this has been really interesting. Should we head inside? When was all this? When did you start the journey of Mint?
8 years ago, the very first insight, I would say, and then 4 years ago, we had the chance to be challenged by the client. And I would say 3 years ago, we became off the shelf as a SaaS. And now it's the scaling kind of momentum.
And now you're in
Yeah, I mean,
expansion.
this is the expansion, which is the most difficult part, I would say, because, it's if I look back, it's been always the difficult part.
Yeah.
It's always...
Every part feels like the difficult part.
Yes, and this is what we love, right? So it's always more exciting and rewarding in a way.
And how do you feel like you've changed over the course of the company's growth? If you
Myself?
have, on a personal level.
Totally. I assume that the biggest change has been, the capacity to really understand that now the product is bigger than my capacity, and you need to have better people around yourself. Also, stepping back, accepting that somebody can have the last word, and it's good for you to accept it.
And to come back a little bit to when you first created the company that would later become Mint. Can you talk a little bit about that process, the ideas that you had, how you went about doing it?
We wanted to shape a company together, or something like in MTV. I was in MTV, just to create a specific way to address the communication for brands that wanted to advertise on MTV. Then step by step, being an advisor to these brands and then entering into the advertising world, I get to know better and better the market itself. It was big time. It was a big moment because everything was transforming due to the digital revolution, right? There was such an incredible, feeling on what could be the future if you give it a name, if you understand exactly where the flow is going. We wanted to close the loop of the software enterprise ecosystem. So it was such a challenge, right, to be part of the giants, even if we are small. Being alone without big funds, but only good people, smart people, investing all the money we made along the way in what we believe without having any dividends along the way. And this is why, we did it.
So this philosophy that you have, this personal philosophy that you have, the way that you live your life, how do you then translate that to the company? What are the company's values?
Overall, we are a benefit company.
Can you explain what that means a little bit?
It's a way of saying that we tend to believe that there is a shareholder in the company, which is the society and the planet itself. So we give part of the revenue we make every year to something that makes sense to build, just because we are part of the community. So I think it is more relevant to say that you have a company to build people big and happy and realize human beings instead of vice versa.
So is it fair to say that Italy is rarely associated with the digital revolution? And if so, why is that?
What I could say is that, yes, talking about the artificial intelligence revolution, which is another kind of layer on top of the digital one, Italy and Europe overall cannot compete with China and US on industrial capacity and finance. But the ethical touch that we have in Europe, I think could be pretty much interesting for the US and China as well, because digital needs to be driven by culture, because it's such a challenge for the whole humanity that you need to have the Italian touch, the European touch in the game. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of complex, for the future.
And where does Mint fit into that in the Italian tech scene?
I think it's part of the way Italians see things. So we tend to look at the empty spaces, and we like when there is a need for a solution that nobody else is looking at. So I think it is part of our story just to be innovative and to create something that disrupts in a good way. Mint is open in the US, which is, a big challenge to us, and we want to shift the headquarters within 1 year in the US.
From Milan to
the
States.
Absolutely. Because this is where you need to go once you're ready with with the product to face the market.
And to be working towards the same objective.
The same objective, correct.
And you talked before about disrupting the market. So let's talk a little bit about Mint's Disruptor, the software of Mint, so ARM. Can you tell me about what that does and how it works?
ARM, first of all, is advertising resource management. It is exactly like CRM for the marketing side or ERP for the supply chain. So what we did is we decided to create a technology that oversees, orchestrating all the different technology. And just to give you a number, over the last 12 years, there were, I would say, 1,000 different technology in the market 12 years ago. Now it's 10, 12 times more, which means that there is a huge complexity. Every single brand that does advertising, typically they need to manage from 20 to 30 different technology for every single campaign. But there is no orchestrator, there is no one that breaks the silos of all these technologies. And there is no possibility to do it without automation. And with the automation, you can then bring another layer, which is what we have of artificial intelligence that gives to the people that works on that specific, vertical of the company. With the artificial intelligence, you can have not just everything automated, but you can have a machine giving you suggestions on how to save money or make better results. And this is what it's all about, right? This is technology. This is the revolution that you are asking and looking for in every single aspect of a company.
Can you tell us a bit about how Mint's software was created and what makes it unique?
Intuition was to create a software that was able to automate most of the mundane tasks and the manual work that bright people were doing and are still doing.
And so what is it about this software which is so unique compared to other software that may be on the market?
First and foremost, it's unique because it's one single software compared to many other software that do a little piece of the big complexity of our media advertising process. So it's the only one you can find that does it all, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why it's unique. The second is it's the only one that connects to more than 350 different technologies. We create a lot of automation throughout very simple process steps. And 3, we put on top artificial intelligence in order to create efficiency out of the process itself.
Using AI, I mean, AI is very much the buzzword at the moment and everyone's talking about it. And of course, there is the fear there that AI and automation and things like that will end up replacing humans and, I guess, taking our jobs. But you're coming at it from a philosophy of wanting to empower humans.
Yes.
So how do you keep that balance? How do you go about that?
That kind of AI that helps human beings to take the decision, right? So it's not in any shape or form built to do things instead, but to give enough evidence of what could be the right decision, giving your KPIs, your need, your expectations. And we set these people free from this robotic task because the computer can do it better than a human being.
And so talking about that a little bit, I mean, you have quite an impressive client roster. You've got P&G, Stellantis, Coca-Cola. Do you think that what you're talking about there, this idea of using the technology to crunch the numbers and do all the technical things, do you think that is one of the reasons why your technology is so attractive to CFOs and COOs around the world?
I think that what they're looking for is a simple way to manage complexity overall. This is what it's all about. To have transparency, governance, it's fundamental. So once you have more control in your hand, you can really see where the money goes and you can take decision with an impact on society because you have full control. As a matter of fact, in the advertising, without Mint or something that looks like Mint, without that, you cannot do it. You don't have any responsibility trigger on the advertising. So the complexity, once is sorted, becomes an opportunity because you are relevant, more and more relevant because you are big. You are a complex company that can give a big impact to the reality. And advertising is a great engine for that change, both for the economical change and the cultural change that a brand with their values can provide to the society.
So we've been talking about where Mint sits on the Italian tech scene and also globally as well.
Yes.
I mean, Mint is a relatively, comparatively small company, but are there any other larger companies that you would like to emulate or that you admire in a particular way?
You know, I love Microsoft because they've been the very first huge company and capable of a huge change that was not necessarily easy to be done. You know, Azure, when the cloud concept, they make up this big, interesting Dynamics 365 kind of approach. And what amazed me is the fact that there's been, coming back to what I said about getting the right talents on board. Charles Ramanna, which is, hopefully it's a little bit Italian, which is something I like due to his surname, is the guy that is, in charge of the product in Microsoft. The change that is being building within Microsoft, which is impressive because, there is a new Microsoft that is way different from what it was a few years ago, that is now, once again, the big one. And it is maybe difficult to do something successful, but it's even more difficult to keep it successful, changing over time the approach. So I admire Microsoft as a company, as a culture, because they've been able to put as a first line of report head of product a 20-something years old manager that, as a matter of fact, did an amazing job. So I was like, wow. It's one of those, it's a manager, which is a different game. And you don't expect somebody of that age to be so strong, to change the legacy and disrupt again the market, being a leader. So these things is pretty much interesting to me and gives, the willingness to play a game with them, to be part of their horizon, if you know what I'm saying.
Great. Well, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.